you some of the things that I'm seeing in the industry. And then I'm going to talk quite a bit about how that has really transformed how we go about designing product, building product, the kinds of solutions that we have, etc. So the first observation that I've made is that every time I have a chance to talk with any of you, it always amazes me that you're amazed that you learned something new that you didn't know that we did. So we've got to do a better job of making sure that you know all the great things that we have, all the cool work that we've been doing, and that's going to be one of our focuses for 2015, and a lot of that's going to start right now. The second thing, of course, is that you always have your list of the things that your customers are telling you. These are the new features we'd like to see, the new capabilities, etc., the scalability. And we're going to make sure that we continue to do a good job and an even better job of listening to what you have to say to us and how you can help guide our roadmap. 2014 was a great year in some of the flexibility that we had on roadmap. The third thing is what we're hearing from end customers, and I'm sure you're hearing the same thing, and I'm going to talk quite a bit about this. It's no longer about coming in and going, this is the product, here are the features and functions, here's the scalability, blah, blah, blah. What they want to know is, I want to give you my use case, and I want you to tell me how you're going to solve my use case. We've seen that transition happen very quickly. So a lot of what you're going to hear over the next few minutes is going to be very use case driven. And I'll give you some examples of what we've been listening to and how we respond to those as we go forward. Now, one common theme when we start talking about use cases and what's going on in the industry is virtually every customer, I'm sure you hear this every day just like I do, is that I have to do more with less. So they have less money to spend, they have fewer resources to work on those, they've got to be able to handle the flexibility of devices, etc., and they have much less time to be able to produce that. Very, very common theme. So a lot of what we've been doing over this past year to 18 months is all about how we can help you do things more rapidly, more effectively, in a lot of cases even producing higher margin and even increasing the quality, and I'll talk more about that. But this is a very common theme that we hear from customers. Another theme that we hear, you hear every day, it's no longer about whether or not bring your own device is viable. That is very real, it's here every day. Avaya, we're an example of that. I'm sure most of you are an example. It's even gone well beyond that. It's not just bring your own device now, it's even bring your own application. In our business unit, when we hire in new college graduates, etc., it is amazing how many tools they bring with them that are just available for download. Things that help make them more efficient in the kind of work that they do. So for them, it's not just I want to bring my own phone or my own device, etc. It's I want to bring my tools and applications. That's a challenge for all of us, but certainly a trend that's happening in the world today. End customers are also saying, the end consumer is saying, why is it that there's all these channels of things that I have to do in order to fulfill a transaction? Very common. We all sit down at a website, we take a look at the website, we find something we're interested in, we find a service that we want, and the next thing we do is we go searching for that hidden phone number on that website so we can pick up our phone and try to call and actually close that transaction. The new modern consumer today doesn't even want to leave that device. If I'm at the pizza website and I'm staring at the pizza that I want to order, I want to do that right then and there. And if I want to talk to someone, I don't want to go to a different device. I want to be able to use that device that's sitting in front of me. And that's why we're seeing more and more websites and mobile applications being communication enabled. And I think we're at the tipping point where in 2015, that is probably going to be the biggest transformation, the biggest change we're going to see, is that applications that previously were never communication enabled are now going to be very richly enabled. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. Convergence. There's a word that you'll get from me today and a word that you're going to hear all through this next year to 2 years. It's about convergence. We are seeing and we are driving convergence virtually everywhere. Firstly, customers, your customers, are very rapidly converging contact center and enterprise. Let me give you a scenario that I hear customers talk to me about all the time. I call them the mysteries of the cosmos. They're always wondering, why does it have to be this way, and why can't you help us change this? So, typical mystery of the cosmos. Caller calls into their contact center. They announce that for quality, they're going to record the call. Everything goes great until that agent decides to transfer that call outside of the contact center somewhere into the enterprise. I'm going to transfer it over to order processing. I'm going to transfer it over to finance, who knows where. And of course, guess what typically happens? No more recording. So why is it that quality assurance should only happen within the contact center? When that call or that transaction moves to the enterprise, why shouldn't that still occur? Okay, that's all about that convergence. The contact center is an extension all the way out deep into the enterprise. So that's one area of convergence that we're going to see happening very, very rapidly. The second area of convergence, probably number one question that I get asked all the time is, gee, Avaya, you have this plethora of clients. We have 1X, we have Communicator, we have 1X Agent. We have more clients than we know what to do with. That's another area that you're going to see convergence, and I'll talk about that in a bit. We have switched and unswitched video, MCU-based video, switch-based video, Avaya Aura conferencing, and RadVision Scopia. You're going to see that world converge over this next year to 18 months. So convergence is going to be something that's going to impact all of us, and it is something that our customers, your customers, are demanding every day. We're going to give you some great tools, and I'm going to show you some use cases that will demonstrate that. Now, how did we get here? How do we get to engagement? And Andy tomorrow is going to talk a lot about what engagement really means and why it's more than what we've seen in the past of just simple communication or collaboration. But a little bit of history. Most of you started with us back in the days of voice only. Of course, that changed very, very quickly, and that grew up into unified communications. It didn't take long before unified communications truly moved into the era of collaboration. But we certainly believe that that world has now grown up even more rapidly and is now all about engagement. It's not good enough to simply collaborate anymore. It is about how the enterprise engages, how teams work together. It's about how customers engage, how they engage with contact centers, how they engage with the enterprise, even how customers engage with other customers, social media. So we really have very quickly moved into this era of engagement. That's why just within my business unit, we moved from being the collaboration business unit into the engagement solutions business unit. Okay, this engagement is all about the outcome of collaboration, and you'll see with our roadmap that we have today, as well as what you're going to see over this next year or so, is really making that move from communication to collaboration to engagement. Now, Pierre-Paul talked a little bit about the fact that there is what we refer to as team engagement. And if you want to think about that as basic enterprise, that's a good way to think about that. And then there's also customer engagement. It's more than just simply contact center. And again, we're going to see a lot of convergence in the lines blur between where customer engagement starts and stops and where team engagement picks up and goes on to the enterprise. These will not be totally bifurcated capabilities that don't interact. In fact, they will be highly, highly integrated as we go forward. Okay, so team engagement. It's all about communication enabling business processes. Of course, that's been a promise from our industry for years and years and years. I'm going to show you some great examples about how the technology has really caught up now with the requirements and how that's one of the fastest growing segments that you're going to see over this next year. Team engagement is about bring your own device. I don't want to communicate with you if we both have to be on the same phone, or we both have to be on the same application, or if you're mobile, I have to be mobile, or if you're in a conference room, I have to be in a conference room. It's about bring your own device, real-time collaboration. It's about centralization and simplification. These have to be brain-dead simple to use. New employees come on board, your customers hire new employees, coming back to you and saying, gosh, this is great stuff, but it just takes too long to onboard people and get them to be efficient. Has to be something very, very simple. On the customer engagement side, things to look for are enabling cross-sells, upsells, increasing net promoter score. You wouldn't believe how many conversations I have with your customers, our customers, to where the number one thing on their mind is net promoter score. My number one goal is how do I increase net promoter score 10% this year compared to last year. They see it as their differentiator. It's about first contact resolution rates. It's about reducing customer efforts. It's about getting more and more visibility into what's happening, both from a performance point of view and a real-time response point of view. Okay? So enterprise, typical contact center, team engagement, customer engagement. Now, when we talk about roadmap, and many of you will see this change over the next few months as we work with you on presenting the roadmap and getting your feedback, we divided it into 4 quadrants, easy to understand. The rows are team engagement and customer engagement, and the columns are enterprise market and mid-market. Every product, every solution we produce will fit nicely somewhere on this matrix. You see there in the center things like cloud and security, they touch all 4 quadrants. Doesn't matter if you're team engagement enterprise or if you're customer engagement mid-market, cloud is important, security is important. On the other hand, IP Office is all about team engagement in the mid-market. So you can see how it's in the top right quadrant. So this is just the format that we'll be using as we go forward to simplify and discuss how we're producing products and solutions as we go forward. It's also the way that we'll be talking to customers. Most customers will fall into 1 or 2 of those quadrants depending on whether they are interested in team engagement and or customer engagement, and whether they're an enterprise customer or a mid-market customer. Now, let me dive down for just a second and talk about 4 or 5 specific solutions, just to kind of whet your appetite as to, 1, what we've been up to. Of course, most of you know that as well as we know that, and then to potentially give you some previews as to where our focus is going to be in these areas as we go forward. Okay, firstly, Avaya Aura, as you know, fits into the team engagement enterprise quadrant. We continue to be able to scale out Aura, but at the same time make it relatively simple to be able to go downscale. Not so much in that true mid-market space, but we don't want something that is only capable of scaling up. We continue to have a very flexible architecture. As you know, this past year to 18 months, we also moved to a feature pack model. One of the things we heard very loud and clear from you is please make these systems easier to upgrade. We're not totally there yet. You will see continuous improvement in this area, but we don't want these to have to be big upgrades to simply move from one minor release to another. Therefore, we put in the feature pack model. Richard mentioned earlier virtualization. Fastest growing segment of Aura today. We're up over 3,200 customers that are now running a 100% full virtualized environment. As you know, we have a great relationship with VMware, not only a partner of ours from a technology point of view, but also a large customer. So not only do we work with them from a technology point of view, but they use the Avaya technology to run their business every day. It's a great relationship. And so the strides that we've made of near real-time applications running in a virtualized environment is the best in the industry. Third-party integrations. This is an area we've made some good strides in, and we will continue to make good strides. And third-party integration could be these communication-enabled applications that I'll talk about in a little bit, as well as even integrating with various devices, and not just devices from Avaya, but devices that are mobility devices, our typical smartphones, iPads, etc. And of course, reliability is another area, and serviceability that we put into Aura, and we will continuously make improvements there. Most of the features and functions, if not all, are driven by your input when it comes to Aura. That long list of things